So I was thinking about this. When was the last time everybody got into like a physical fight?
I've never been in a fight.
Never?
Never.
Mariah?
The last time, I was in Boulder.
Damn.
So that's a few years ago, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Alright. That's
I don't know, like
I'm close to one
last September or something.
last September?
Yeah.
Last September.
Yeah.
Bruh, it
I went
was...
through a phase, man.
Well, what happened in the squad fight, that technically counts.
Okay, that fight did not count. This
No,
did
yes,
not
it did.
fight. It did not, because no punches were thrown.
Apparently,
No, we're not. I'll talk about like actually like fists.
Okay.
Like you actually like
I've been in a few skirmishes.
yeah, nah, skirmishes don't count because like you cool, but like
Right. Nobody can really get beat up.
yeah, nah. I'm talking about like fist, like fist to face.
Like 2010.
Dang. All right, so
That's
growth for you.
What about you, Marcus?
I would say actually last summer it was outside of a brunch party, so.
Who'd you beat up? I don't know.
It was.
Was that munchies and mimosas?
No comment.
He's out here fighting niggas. Out here fighting your own people. Bro.
Champagne.
No, it wasn't munchies. No. It wasn't munchies and mimosas. It was one of those. No, it was one of those like older black like brunches. You
That's
know,
even
like,
worse.
Let me explain myself. So let me explain myself. So it was an older gentleman, and I was there with my mentor. And so he was like rude, you know when old people not old people, like older people drink,
Right.
like they start to get like out of mouthy. So it's just like, man, back in my mind, I was like, all right, enough of this.
Right.
And so he was like, all right, meet me outside. And so like normally it's just this is probably like my biggest just like arrogance. When people say meet you outside, you don't expect them to be like, all right, let's go outside. That's literally like my go-to, just like. Since I've just been back home since like college.
Wait, that's
like,
your go-to?
My go-to is like, yes, let's meet outside.
Well, meet outside it depends on the way you say it. Was it like, meet outside?
Yeah, no.
That's on site.
Like, just meet outside.
No. It was like meet outside.
Oh, right.
And so that's always been like my go-to. Because like a lot of people just like in Denver don't like to fight. So it's just like, all right, let's meet outside. He's like, all right, I'm with it.
Yeah.
So we went outside and we fought. And then it was a wash because we were both drunk.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah, just swinging that head.
Yeah, basically.
Heavy swings,
Like boys in the hood. Man.
Yeah,
Just
basically.
swinging that
Basically,
head.
yeah.
Oh wait, I lied. Well, I didn't get in the fight, but when I was over in Europe,
What?
I was with.
You was fighting overseas?
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, international phase.
Over here. But no, like the girl she was being outrageous, okay? She was like in our faces and doing all that shit. And then she tried to call my friend a hoe. She was like, what'd you say? And then that was it. She like wrapped her hair up.
Alright.
And then security came and I was like, nah, we're not doing this.
Alright. Yeah, that international getting arrested internationally
Yeah, that would've
that sounds like pretty scary.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
not
it was in
taking
London,
shit
so
from
it
your
was
step.
like, we speak the same language, but that was not good.
Yeah, I think I told you my story. I was like, I was trying to get homeboy to come out to the street, and he was not coming out to the street. So he's like, let's hit this alley. They're like, yo, they're gonna jump you if you go to the alley. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I went over to the alley, started getting beat up. Like, oh shit. Like, yeah, man. I don't know. I got some good ones in there though. Cop came over there like, you said you weren't gonna cause any trouble. It's like, I don't know what's going on.
Ain't no real fight unless you get hit too.
Yeah.
I was definitely taking them. Hands them out though, okay?
Hey man, that's
My
all
shit,
right.
my last one was outside of. It's when I didn't even live here yet. It was outside. Like I was visiting,
Oh, okay.
and it was outside of what's that place on Broadway? That had reggae on the roof.
Oh,
Vinyl.
vinyl.
Yeah, I got into a fight outside of Vinyl.
Oh, that's expected for
Some
sure.
nigga, it was some crip nigga. I think it was some crip nigga. I was talking to somebody and I said something rude, but it was to somebody I knew. He thought I was talking to him.
Right.
Like,
Oh.
what you say, cuz? And he just stole off on me. And we just swinging.
Alright. I think a fight outside of vinyl is like a rite of passage.
Yeah, alright. Broadway, man.
Skirmishes, like
Somewhere on Broadway.
welcome to another edition of the Fantastic Flow. I am your host, Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka Call Me What You Want, just don't call me lazy. And I am joined by people whose opinions I hold in high regard. I am joined by my two sisters, Shanae. Follow her on Twitter at Despicable Nay.
You got it.
And on Instagram at
Shanae, CHU.NAI.
I am also joined by my other sister, Mariah. You can follow her on Instagram at Unfriendly Black Girl.
Black Hottie.
Black Hottie. But that's like, it's Unfriendly Black Hottie, but there's no vowels.
It's like 100 women's names that start on Twitter.
No, A-E-I-O.
Yeah, it's the same on Twitter.
And same on Twitter. And I'm also joined by one of my best friends, known him for over 20 years. Day one's Isaiah, also known as Cap Handsome. We went out last night. Everybody was calling him Cap. I was like, all right.
You got the stamp on me.
Yeah.
Yo, man, that's right. That's right.
And finally, I'm joined by Ro. One of just a person who I just look up to as like an older brother. Always giving me sound advice. Great guy. Brave suck. But you can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Ro Knows. Thank you for being here. And also, we have my homegirl Tori, who is behind the scenes. She is I can't remember her at Tori. Do you want to know? Do you want? Okay, you want me to say that? Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, so basically, we are here today to talk about this. We're here to talk about a tweet. Shanae, what's her name? I don't want to say it.
It's Zainab.
Zainab.
I thought it was Zainab B at first.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, it's Zainab.
It's
Zainab.
Zainab. Okay, so at Zainab.
We don't want to be, incorrect, girl.
That's our girl.
Yes.
No, that's correct.
All right. So she says, Denver, the land where majority of black guys only date Beckies. So, in case you don't know, Beckies are another term for a white woman. So, I'm gonna kick it off.
I think it's a certain type of white woman, to be honest.
I think it's all white women.
Yeah, I do.
They're European white women. I don't even call it Beckies.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't think it's for the culture white women either. I think Beckies are like Colorado Beckies,
What is the Colorado?
Like REI, athletic, athleisure wear, like kind of like, I don't know.
That's daily.
But now
Like-
What about in the
She's
South?
definitely
Like
not your
the country
homegirl.
girls and
Yeah,
Beckies too.
yeah,
They don't really do the same thing.
Yeah, I still consider them like Becky.
I say it's American
So,
white
but
women.
like, yeah,
It's American white women.
yeah. All right. Is that cool
I
with
see
you?
how this is about to
No.
go. Oh,
No,
God.
man, you want a clear definition? All right, so I'm
Urban Dictionary.
gonna kick it off with the women.
Yeah,
So what are y'all's thoughts about this? All right.
We live in Colorado, first of all.
Okay. All right.
It's a predominantly white state.
Okay.
Second of all,
All right.
I don't have any issues finding no brothers that come to me that like black women, but
Right.
I do have some friends, that do date white women or are married to biracial women, like I don't care. Do what you gotta do.
Right.
Yeah.
Mariah.
Yeah, I definitely feel that sentiment. I think it is more prevalent here just because there is an abundance of white women around.
Right.
And I honestly feel like black women only have a problem with it when it's like they parade it around in black women's faces. Like do what you do and be happy with that choice, but when it comes to the point where you always have to make it about your white woman or her being white or
That's
just
really
putting them on this
issue.
pedestal, like the rest of us don't matter, like that's when it becomes a problem.
Like
to
their
me.
mom ain't black.
So has that personally happened to y'all?
I would say yes. Like when
Kansas.
I was in school in Boulder, like all of the black dudes only dated white girls. Like they would kick it with us and be our homeboys and all that, which was fine to me. Like I wasn't looking for nothing. But then it's like when you're going out or when you're trying to be at a certain event, then she's the one on your arm. And then we're just sitting here like, okay, that's cool. Like, but she don't be around when we're kicking it. She's not around like any other time. But when it's out in the public eye, then that's when you got your little trophy on your arm. You know what I mean? So that's that's kind of where it becomes a problem for me. But on the same turn, I don't like when black girls try to throw that in black men's faces, like, because some of them really do have genuine connections, and that's not fair to downplay those relationships.
True.
Or manipulate how they should feel in the first place.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, like, to me, she was stating facts. Like,
yeah,
black women in Colorado date white women. That's just what
it
is.
All right, Isaiah.
You know, I had to talk with bro like last week. Evan being back home for a little bit, but we always had to talk because him being from Colorado but going completely out of state to like HU and then completely moving afterwards to DC. Like, we had this conversation to where it's like, you know, he's not really feeling like my whole take on it in general, as far as like, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go out and do like whatever, and then like, you know, whatever girls are around, to me, like ladies are ladies, then I'm like kind of down with it. But I definitely in general believe that there are definitely like a lot of guys I come in contact with, they're just like, they only look for the Beckys, which is kind of disheartening, because like, one, it doesn't set me up for success for some of these conversations in the future. Like, some of these dudes are just garbage, and I don't agree with them. And then, because most of the time, you know, you try these conversations, we're like, yo, like, you wouldn't just date any girls? And they're like, nah, man. And it's like this whole messed up view on why they don't date black women or Mexican women or.
Like, what have you heard? Like, what is the most common like thing you heard? Like, why don't they date black girls, black women?
It's like the whole BS of like, you know, they think like, you know, black women expect too much from them, or like, it's like, I don't know, it's like, we're about to get into it, but I don't know, it's like, talk about different attitudes, we talk about how, I mean, low keys, specifically because it is Denver, you know, some girls are definitely more easy to obtain just because you are black, which is like, you know, using your blackness maybe not in the best, I don't know. But I don't know. I feel like for most guys, it's like this mess, like, I don't know, they had like this perception of dating black women as opposed to when they start dating white girls and they think that's easier, or maybe it might be easier for them. So then from now on, like, just scratch black women off the list, and that's kind of like insane to me, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I agree with mostly everybody. I feel like it's a nature thing.
Right.
Like, I kind of look at nature versus nurture. Like, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and I didn't really have a white friend until I left. Okay. So it's different. Yeah, it's different in that aspect. So you gonna take what's around you all the time. So if it's mostly white people around you, and like, I don't know, I feel like I know every black person here. I mean, I feel like this is the last one I'm supposed to meet.
All right.
Complete
I know everybody here. So it's not a whole lot of, you know, like most of y'all, like especially people that grew up here that's from Denver, they all went to school together. Everybody know, even if you went to a different school.
Yeah.
You know the people in that school, the people around your age group. So it's like when y'all go to the club, it's like a high school reunion. Because you know people. So it's not a whole lot, like if you're so if you fuck, that's your man. So if he fucked whoever, you're not gonna fuck. You probably not gonna fuck with her because your boy already fucked with her. You're not gonna wife her at least. Yeah. So it just makes things more complicated. You're trying to fuck with a black woman here. But I understand. I understand it just because of the nature. Yeah. But on the flip side, I think about it like super minorities. Like, let's say Ethiopians. Mm-hmm. I dated a lot of Ethiopian women in the past, and what I've noticed is that, like, they'll mess around with like American men, but like it's like the way they were brought up by their parents, the nurture part. At the end, they gonna end up with Ethiopian.
Yeah, for sure.
Most of the time.
And that's actually the way I was brought up in my household. My mom said there's every shade of black under the sun, so there's really no need to date white women. But as for myself, as a person who did grow up in Colorado, who's a product of an HBCU, who instead of staying out there, which I kind of regret, but like it's fun back home. But it's just like it was kind of like a culture shock to see
so many black people.
Just to be back home and see how like
after school
everybody is like clicked up, and you have like tense situations between like different like cliques and different people, and it's just like unwanted tension, and you can't like. And it's just like myself, like if you guys know me, I'm a friendly person. Like I'm not like the most outgoing, but I'm like I'm always just like I'm a very friendly person. So it's just like, especially to like another black person. So when I just like see like just a random black, I'm like, yo, what's up? Like I really believe like we all should like stick together, because that's how I was raised. Just like growing up in just like through church, I only interacted with like the black girls there. Then I went to college, messed with the black girls in the South. Then I came back home, and then I just like stuck with the black women. But it's just like as you like get older, it is like the environment. Just like when you work downtown every day, and you don't like, there's days when I don't run into a black person. And that's just like, I don't know if that happens to me.
Wow, yeah.
It's just like that's like I could go literally a whole week without seeing a black person who was in my age range.
Oh, here?
Here in college, it's just like a whole week. Just like if I just go to like if I go to
where the fuck you be going?
If I go to work, if I go from home to work.
Oh, and don't go nowhere else.
And don't go nowhere else.
Got you.
Like if I don't go out like after work or to happy hour, I won't interact with like a black person. Like so.
I work with niggas, so I can't.
Yeah. Nah, for sure.
Most places I work is definitely the minority most of the time. Golf course, obviously the design job, all that stuff.
You don't have one black person at your job?
Well, I have two, but they are both older.
Oh, gotcha.
They're like over 40. So.
Oh, so you don't really.
That's interesting too, because the restaurant I work at, which is in the tech center, I'm the only black girl on staff. There's one black boy, and he's like gay. So it's like it's just us two, and the rest, like the kitchen and stuff, obviously is Mexican or Hispanic, and then the rest is white. And all of the clientele is white because it's higher end. So it's like, even the black men that I do see coming there, most likely they're with white women.
Right.
I have seen some of them like, Uncle Phil and type dudes in there with their black women, and they're the more prominent out here in Colorado. But you could tell that they surround themselves with white people. So it's like it is a weird dynamic. Like, I remember having one table in there. It was a black and white, or a black man and a white woman, and you could tell that he had kids before they were married, so they were like full black kids. But she wasn't like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like, you could tell she was kind of for us and for the culture, but not in that like overbearing, like I'm trying to be black type way.
For sure.
Like, she was still herself, but it was you could tell she understood her privilege and like was able to work that into her relationship, that made it seem like they would be a successful couple, because she didn't have to, have this wall up, or they're just doing this for show type thing. Like, it was a real connection. So to me, and especially from where I come from, I'm a mixed race, and my entire family is mixed. There's not like one side that's full black, full Hispanic, full anything. Even got my ancestry, I'm not half anything. The most I have of anything is 26%. So that's, for me, I didn't grow up like, oh, you gotta keep it black, because that's not how I've ever been seen, or people have ever seen me to be, is black. So for me, getting into dating and having like types and shit like that, I hate to say I don't see color, but in that regard, I really don't see color. Because I was just raised differently, like I don't.
For sure. So I will say with just like myself, and as I'm getting older, not necessarily looking for a family, but just when it comes to looking for a potential like mate, a potential partner, potential mother of my child, I do take into account the current political climate. And one of the things I do take into, just that I think about, is if I do have a mixed race child, I don't want to kind of add to that burden for them to go out into the world
and choose who they want to be.
Yeah. And then also have like family members who will disrespect them because of their color. That's kind of one of the reasons why I date black women, just because I don't want to date like a white woman and then I meet her family And then one of her uncles like, all right, look at that nigger. Just like something crazy is like, all right, you can't disrespect me
I
like
think
that.
most mixed people go towards their black side.
Right.
I haven't really met too many mixed people that go towards the white side.
Yeah, that's like an American thing, apparently.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're, like, any type of color, then, like, I think Trevor Noah put it perfect. And, like, in Africa, it's like you're a mixed race person. Like, that's what you identify as. You're, like, you're mixed race. But here, out in America, people are like, no, you're black. Like, that's it, dog. Like,
Right.
you're not mixed, really.
Yeah,
You're just, like,
but you're definitely
yeah,
both.
exactly. It's kind of crazy.
It's supposed to take things from both, I feel like.
Yeah. I just think that we're such, just as black people, we're such a strong culture that we tend to take in, and we're so welcoming. Just like when we have, like, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to like the Yes Jewel situation, and even with just like cultural appropriation, we're such a welcoming culture. We're so
Some
friendly.
niggas just want to fuck. That's why.
Yeah.
Who is
Yeah.
Yes Jules? I see her on Twitter. Like, what is she? Like,
Big blue white girl.
So basically, she is a curator of the vibes.
Huh.
So basically,
She got fast?
she throws but she throws parties. She works with Dash Radio. I believe I don't want to mistake, but but just like her rise through like the hip hop world and just through our culture, and then while we also have somebody like her just like attacking like a Karen Civil, Scotty Beam for just attacking two women who stand for the culture and for like the upliftment of black people in spaces where they're necessarily not welcome.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know who she was.
So, but
It's a good thing. You should know who she is.
yeah, no, definitely. So,
You know what's funny? Because like you brought up like fights earlier, and like the reason that whole last fight even popped off, and this is my biggest thing. Like if you're a black male, it takes a lot for me to even want to like throw hands.
No,
for me,
no, for
period.
sure.
Like we have to really be, and I'll be like in your face. Like I know, but it's like different. Though.
That's like-
This nigga
But it's like-
He said, "Let's roll."
but it's like that'd be like it's more like finding your uncle. Like, all right.
Yeah, I feel
y'all
that.
never like straight up like your older cousin and just like,
Yeah,
all right, bro.
Some hands is for everybody at that
Exactly.
point.
You're
Like,
ready to eat for everybody.
but I was like straight up telling bros like, yo, like you're black, I'm black, we're in an all white club. Like, do you really want to go? And he goes, I'll beat your ass. Like, all right, cool, man. Like, you really go. But,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Also, it's like, because I know, fighting colored people is a whole different thing, man. Like, you can fight some white boys and everybody can walk off. It's like whatever. It's like, black folks, man, you might be like, might have issues for years after this. Somebody's getting jumped.
People
Like,
ain't
it's
popping no
crazy.
trunks on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's wild.
Yeah. So I posted this in one of the group chats I'm part of, and somebody they said I gotta agree with the person. Out of all my friends, fraternity brothers, only 3 are in relationships that are interracial. Those 3 aren't with white women. Somebody needs to widen their circle. Maybe it's just the guy she wants. And I bring that up to talk about a point that Tori mentioned when we were talking about this over Instagram. And she said, I direct this question towards you ladies. She said that the black men in the city tend to have a type of black woman that they are attracted to. Is that necessarily true?
Yeah, it's true. But
All right.
listen.
All right.
But no, I think it's true. Like, no offense to my little life, I don't care. But it is like a lot of men that I do know, they do typically like light-skinned women. I mean, I don't have an issue with it. I have several.
Okay, but even still, they like a type of
light-skinned women, what's the type? Go ahead. She's getting there. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I need to know.
What's her name?
Ain't no names, but they have to be light-skinned with curly hair.
Literally. Curly hair.
And I'm my type of curly hair, like long, flowing, loose curly hair, like exactly that. Exotic type look, and it's a funny. It really is a funny thing.
And I know we can go into it, so
right.
Go into it.
I mean,
so what I'm here for.
I don't even know where to fucking start. It's just like that's what they like.
And it's even kind of weird because it almost gets into like a fetish type thing rather than even being really into the person.
Yeah.
Like I went through a phase of like dating only European men for a while, but that wasn't limited to just white European. It was Black European, Spanish European, like, you know, some Serbians in there. It's a little too far, but I had to bring it back in. But wait, they even still, like, I even felt the type of way, like, you're only dating me because of, like, because I'm Black. And, like, that felt kind of weird. Like, it wasn't really, you're not in it for me or just, like, seeing past that. Like, it's really a game for people to be like, this is the type that everybody wants, and I'm going to get that so I can, like, prove something. You know? Like,
yeah, for sure.
It's not genuine.
I think it, like, the most wild thing about it is, like, when you're out here dating and it's like just the culture and environment that you're in. It's like I have like the most fun obviously like when I'm hanging out with the squad, and like our squad is like kind of diverse, you know, with like, you know, A Money and JB and Danny, like, you know, all how we interact and stuff. It's always a good and easy time, especially as far as like jokes go. Like, you know, if I hang out with a specific group of people, then I'm most likely the one telling all the jokes, which is like kind of wild to think about. You know, it's like, you know, and everybody else is usually just around enjoying like, you know, I'm not saying like, you know, your culture, your Black presence or anything like that, but it's like Black people bring so much to the table sometimes to where it's like, when if you're worried to be dating a white girl, then you know what kind of situations you're putting yourself in, to where if you're going to a party or if you're just going out in general, it's kind of like and like you don't want to be the guy providing the entertainment because you know what that looks like, and you know like historically like you're for real shucking and jiving like at this point, like to the point where it's like you're going to a club. I think like guys like light skinned, curly headed Black women, because like they're like in their mind they're very Instagrammable, you know. It's like and what you're like looking like. Yeah, huge impact as far as like dating and stuff. And it's like I don't know, like me being a photographer and everything else like that. It's like, you know, I wouldn't have a preference in skin color when it comes to like. I just see like the beauty in all of it, you know. I'm like I'm not really looking at it as like I think like this skin tone is just like that. But I think your mom made like a great point on like how many shades there are of Black people too. It's like,
and she's been preaching that since like birth.
That's wild.
So that's just like that just goes like to show. I don't know everybody's like family situation, but that just goes like to show how just like open like because my family my family is originally we're from Arkansas, Pine Bluff. And so it's just, and then my grandparents met, and they all like the whole family migrated out to Denver, and so they all met each other in Arkansas, and then my parents, my mother was born, and she grew up in Denver, and her experience was the same as you guys, and so like this isn't even changed. Like she was like sometimes even because she went to UNC in like the 70s, and she said how the Black men out there fetishize like the white women and like the light skinned women. And if you ever saw my mother, she's light skinned, but she's not like the fetish type of light skin. And so she said like that's happened even since then. And one of just like things I always think is like I know this may sound like romanticized, but I always like believe in Black love. Like that's that's just like at the core, like that's just like why I like just like enjoy just being around Black people, especially like as I'm like older, and just like recently with like the death of my family. It's just like I want to be surrounded by love. I don't want to be surrounded by people who I have to keep my guard up around. And that's like, I don't know if you guys is like professional situations, but it just sometimes feels like I'm always on like the defense. Like I'm always like, hey guys, that's racist. Let's not do that. Yeah. And so it's just like weird. And it's just like I don't get like this is just like personally I don't get peace from being around like a lot of white people all the time, because they always, like Isaiah said, you're always like the entertainment. And sometimes like I just want to chill. I want to like be in the back. I don't want to be like the person always pushing the conversation.
Or they're trying too hard to be comfortable with you. Like the first thing out their mouth is like they have to make a Black joke or they have to like, you know, it's like.
You told I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You told like a family story, whatever. Can I tell y'all like a family story real quick?
Go for it.
I just thought about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget about it. So, like growing up, I was in high school.
Right.
Like 16 years old. So, the way, so I played sports or whatever. I was pretty popular in high school and whatnot. So I got like a lot of girls.
Right.
So, and so you automatically popular, I think you do sports. But so my mother, like she used to work nights, and then at one point she switched to days, so she would be home. We'd be home at the same time.
Right.
So at this time, this is like when I was really like young and horny. So I'm bringing girls through. I'm bringing black women through, and you know they like, you know, is your mom home? Like, yeah, she home. You know, they see the car in the driveway, and she's like, you know, is it cool? Cause we going to fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. So I walk in, and my mom, you know, she saw everyone, and I'm talking about this is like 15 girls.
He was wild.
Yeah,
Wild.
like maybe like 10 to 15, something like that. Right. So I'm bringing them all through, and they're like, you know, hey, how you doing? They were respectful, and then my mom's like, hey, baby, how you doing? So then the way the house was set up, my mother never went upstairs because her room, the master bedroom was downstairs, and everything else was downstairs. All the other rooms, the 3 other rooms were upstairs, and my room, it was just me and her living there. Right. So I had the whole upstairs to myself, and my sister moved out. So
you got upstairs pad.
Right, pretty much had like an apartment up there, but she never came up there. So, you know, I would say, you know, we doing a project or whatever. And she'd be like, you know, cool, we go upstairs, and the doors, well, we got this new house, the doors and the walls are soundproof. Right. Because I like to listen to blast music, and she can hear that shit. So I would, you know, just close the door.
Wow.
And going in there, going to town. And they'll come, but I know she knew, but they would come downstairs, hair fucked up, you know, 16-year-old girls when they get themselves together. Yeah. Right. So they hair all fucked up. You can tell it smelled like sex probably, like, and then they come down and they say bye. Right. My mom was close to them and she could smell them and see their hair fucked up. She's like, bye baby, and then I go back upstairs and do what I was doing.
Right.
So one time I bring a white chick. And it wasn't for that. It was for, we was doing a project, like a school project, but like, I don't know, some biology or something like that.
The boy was like sex.
It was real this time. And she, you know, we couldn't go to her house because of dad, something with her dad. Probably he ain't like niggas, I don't know. But she came over. I said, it's cool, you come over my house. So she came over, and you know, we went upstairs. We didn't even go in my room. There's like a little separated 3 years, like a little area, sitting area we could sit up there or whatever. The computer was up there and shit, so we on the computer. And there's 2 big ass holes in the wall at my mom's house that's looking over the downstairs. Right. So she can hear niggas up there, you know, people up there talking, if they're out in the area. So she knew we was up there talking, and we came downstairs. She was waiting at the bottom of the stairs. Like, look at me, and I'm like, yeah, you know, like, whatever, maybe I did something. And then she was like, she just passed me and went to the girl, like, look here, little white girl, you ain't finna go upstairs and try to fuck with my son, and blah, blah, blah. She just went off on it so quick, I couldn't catch all the words. And I was embarrassed, and the girl was crying, she left, she's like, I'm never coming to your house again, your mom's racist. And I was like, I didn't know she was gonna do that, and that shit affected me, honestly. Right. Yeah. Like, I've fucked white women before, but I can't say that I've been with them. Right. Exclusive. Sure. Yeah. And I think that situation kind of caused me to be like that.
So,
like I've had
thanks for his mom.
Like I've had like for instance, I've had there was a white woman here that I was fucking for a long time, like 3 years. Like whenever I could just call her up and she was with it, and she wanted to be with me, I just couldn't do it. So she was a great person.
There, bro.
We still friends. She's a great person. She's a great person. And she, you know, if she was another color, not even want to say it like this, but if she was black, I would have been, you know, scooped up. Right. But she actually met my mom before. Like my mom came out here one time, and I was scared. Like when she.
Oh, so this is like real trauma.
Yeah, like I was scared that my mama was gonna be on some like, who is this white girl you got me around? But they like kicked it off. It was cool. Like it was chilling at the pool, talking. When he talking to me.
Times changed.
But
so I think maybe she grew a little bit.
Well, I think it was because of her job. She retired now, so I think she was like she worked for the post office for like 25 years or something. So she wasn't a clerk at first, and then like in her later years she had to become a clerk with customer service. Right. She's always come home complaining about white folks all day.
Damn.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
crazy.
One thing that you mentioned, how in high school we talked about this. How in high school you were an athlete, and we talked about sometimes when people are like popular, growing up, just for like their physical abilities, they don't develop a personality.
Right.
And so because they don't develop a personality, they go for like the easy woman or the women who aren't as hard to get. Do you think that's part of the and also with like gentrification and just the influx of other African Americans going in, we have like because we all grew up with like people who were like amazing or like popular, but like weren't necessarily, I don't want to say they were stupid, but they just like weren't there all the way.
They weren't focused on the right thing.
Yeah, and so like as they grew older, they didn't really have their priorities together, and so when they're out here and they're in the real world and they're dating, they're not they don't have like the talking traits or like other than like what they know, which is what their go-to is. Do you guys also think that is a part of the reason why some black men go after white women? Because maybe this is super stereotypical. Sorry.
We're just athletes, or
But
just
not athletes, but just like not athletes, but like like former athletes who didn't really
it's focused on
playing ball and just like didn't make it to like that next, or even didn't even go to like collegiate level.
Yeah.
But like they spent their last like 14 years developing a skill that they don't necessarily use anymore, and so they were like told by like coaches and tutors and mentors like that's all they need, and when they don't need that anymore, they can't use it. They don't have a personality, and they're kind of like one-dimensional. And so, do you think that's kind of why they go to like what's easy and what's like what they know they can get away with?
I think men go to what's easy anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that because I wouldn't want to call like all white women easy.
Oh yeah, no.
Because I think there's some
for sure
plenty of dumbass black bitches that follow for the same type
for sure
ass motherfuckers.
And
it's just a problem all around
Black
because
bitches,
they're just enablers to each other to not want to progress and do better with themselves. But that's the other reason why I don't like when people like make interracial dating such a problem. Because if it's like, if that person is helping that person enhance and like they both are bringing each other up,
why does it bother you?
Yeah, why is that
Why do you let
anybody
it bother
else's
you?
business? Like, they're doing fine, they're happy, they're chilling, and if you didn't get left by one of them, so what does it matter? Like, And I to go off of your story, I find it funny because I have one of my best friends, he's from Ghana, like straight from Ghana. His parents I don't even think he was born here, but they're all here now. When we went to school together in Boulder, and when we were in Boulder, he was dating this other girl from Ghana, and his mom like loved her and wanted them to get married and everything, and it kind of didn't work out. We'd always been friends, but we never dated or anything like that. But one day we were coming down from Boulder, stopped at his parents' house in Westminster before we were coming to Denver, and his mom was home, and when I walked through the door, she just looked at me like, why the fuck are you in my house? Like, I sat on the couch like super uncomfortable, and she just sat across from me, just staring at me like, what are you and my son doing? And I'm like, oh, we're just about to go to our friend's party in the city, like blah blah blah. Like, she's like, oh, do you have a boyfriend? And I'm like, yeah, hella didn't have a boyfriend, but I didn't even want her to think.
I already knew what the hell she was.
I knew what she was getting at. Like, you can't be with my son. Like, I just was like, I just want to make it as clear as possible that we're just cool and like all that. So, but by the end of the conversation, she like warmed up because she realized I'm not like trying to take her son from the Ghanaian woman.
I still hate being parents.
But yeah, it's like weird. Even with like, I have a lot of like African friends, so I know, like, I see those dynamics in their own families too, and they like to date outside of their own like religion and stuff, and it's a problem just because of tradition and how you were raised and how your parents think your future should be. So I don't know. I think that's a kind of a loaded question of what's easier, because you could date someone out of convenience.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that it's an easier relationship, but it works out for your lifestyle. And that person can still be of any race. And
I low-key think dating out of convenience is fine, personally. I'm like, sometimes I feel like people are just feeding way too much energy into like forcing a narrative that they want to come true. And it's kind of like, if you minded your own business sometimes, and you'd be less stressed throughout the day. But I feel like, in general, black people bring it up the most because like we're kind of like looking out for each other at the end of the day, or like we have a historical like context to draw from, to where it's like we know what it's like if things go wrong for you being a young black man in this situation with this white woman. And I just like know from cousins and families and things like how things can go south so bad off of a bad argument, you know what I'm saying? And especially if like you're dating a white woman or something like that. I think one of the biggest things for me is like, you know, cause I'm just like dated across the board. I'm getting, but I think, all right, the only reason I laugh is because like whatever, it's Denver. But in general, that's why I said like all white women can't really be considered Becky's in my opinion, because like I've just met some like hella down white girls to where like I can see to where my bro Evan would be like, nah, it's just white girl, dog. But I would just be like, nah, man. I think to me, like, it's her. Like, that's just who she is. Like, she happens to be a white girl, and because of her upbringing or whatever, and especially like certain liberal white girls or whatever like this, it's like I'm not even like we're kind of like on the same page as far as she's like, I want racial equality across the board. I want women to be coming up in this world. Like, we're like so on the same page about a lot of things, so where it's like, yeah, I don't see myself as like I'm just Isaiah parading this white girl around, but I do know what it does look like at this point to where I can't be ignorant of it. So.
One of the things that you just brought up with like racial equality, one of the reasons why I don't really want to like but like get down with just like white women is just because we don't have the same fears. Just like our interactions with the police are going to be completely different, and she's at the end of the day, she can feel for me, but she's not really going to understand what it feels like when the police pull you over, or when you're just out chilling and the police are just picking on you. She's like, she can feel, but she doesn't understand that fear. She doesn't understand that pain.
So what is your burden and like what is your responsibility that you feel like?
It's just like my not burden, but I would say burden, just like my responsibility. I do just feel like my responsibility isn't just black women, just because I was raised by a black woman. I was surrounded by black.
That's just what you
figures.
like. You like black.
Yeah, and just like I don't want to like it just feel like I know like I'm like super cool with interracial dating. Like I don't have a problem with it. It would just be like, to me, it would be an insult to the women who have raised me since birth. If I just turn around and was like, hey, here's Elizabeth.
It's nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Your nurture just took over your nature.
Yeah, no,
but that don't happen for some
But
people.
don't you feel like that's kind of messed up that you have to look at it like it would be an insult? Like the reason I say it is because like my dad is literally just like, I asked him, we had this talk a bunch of times, and my dad's biggest thing is don't marry broke. Like that's how he sees it. He's like, yo, if she's cool and she's like, yo, you and her can do and can accomplish some things, then I personally don't care. And like my mom always made jokes, but she's like, look, whoever makes you happy makes you happy. So like my parents have never like had to put, I think my dad's biggest thing was to like kind of get rid of all these historical like mindsets, because he's like, there's enough for you to worry about right now. It's like, I don't want you to have like this old way of thinking of like your mom's gonna feel disrespected if you bring home a white girl, because I'm not bringing her home and I'm looking at my mom like, you know, like, yeah, that's not how I feel, you know? But it's just like, I feel like you shouldn't really always pass those things down to your children, or like you shouldn't have to feel that way is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I feel you there.
As long as you don't diss black women, I feel like
I think that's
that's the difference. Like you can be with.
That's mostly the part for us. It's like
you don't like
do, but like don't bring black women into it every time you want to mention your.
But
like
in that same vein, though, in that same vein, most of the dudes, y'all wouldn't like it. They even like black.
I'm with you on that.
Yo, that's a vibe. Yo,
I don't care about who doesn't care about you.
With most black women, because you will see it on like all these celebrities are in interracial relationships, and you will see all these bitches on the comments like, oh,
liking that shit.
But it's like you wouldn't want him if he wasn't with her.
Russell Wilson was corny when he was with a white woman.
Yo, he was.
But yeah, he was Sierra. Black women was like, yeah, Russell, go Russell. Like you wasn't fucking with him before.
Right, so now
you
really
ain't gonna fuck with him now because you think he corny still.
Exactly, and if he would have a conversation with you, you would have been done with him.
Michael B. Jordan, he like white women. Like I mean,
I thought he was gay.
That's different because a lot of women want Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. We don't know that's for sure.
What?
That's it.
No.
Do you think Michael B. Jordan's gay?
He better not be. When I've seen him,
But going back to what you said on records, I think it is just about, like, I see your fears for that, especially with them not understanding, but I've had so many, like, white friends who always jump to my defense before I even ever have. I've had a lot of racial encounters where I never had to protect myself because they were the ones like, no, fuck that, like, I'll beat your ass myself, like, you're not about to disrespect her, like, at all. And some of them were like super privileged white people. I was the first black friend they ever had. Some of them came up worse than me, didn't have both parents in their lives, grew up on welfare, all that shit. And it's just a different dynamic. Like I think it comes around understanding their privilege. Because I can't take white people that just like they live in this bubble and we don't see color and all that matter. Can't stand those kinds. Like no, you need to acknowledge other people's struggles. Like if you don't acknowledge other people's struggles, then that's where we're always gonna have a divide. It doesn't. You can't just ignore that black people grow up way worse no matter what because of their color than white people do. And I think that's where that comes in because you do see a lot of black guys dating those girls. Who sometimes they're the first black people they even know.
Right.
And that like feels away. It's like, okay, but are you really teaching her about what we go through, or do you sit here and let her go run around saying nigga here and there? Like that shit is the shit. Exactly. So it's like that. That's what you gotta be the. That's very
That's wild.
That's very.
That's where it fucks me up. Like there are the men who date white women who allow that shit.
Well, yeah.
Around their people, like excuse
like,
me.
Yeah.
Your bitch ain't even saying that shit around me and my friends.
You ain't
But I can't let that shit fly.
Right.
Yeah, I
What's
mean,
wrong with you?
there's a lot to it too. It's like
A lot to the N-word.
no, I mean, there's a lot to like why these dudes do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole self-love issue too. It's just like they don't realize the importance of like who they are at the end of the day. To just like letting people talk like that around you is like a whole different type of vibe. Man.
This is true.
I don't think you brought this up, or maybe you did. I think we talked about it briefly, but somebody on Twitter said something about you can't. I forgot her name, but I always see her one time. You can't, or y'all fetishize, but you can't fetishize your own race.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that. I thought that was very stupid. I'm not saying she's stupid. Just I don't think she got that across. Yeah, the statement like you can't fetishize your own race. You can fetishize. It's like a black person can fetishize white people, Hispanic people, whatever. But I can't fetishize you or you.
Yeah, what does that even?
Yeah, that's
Like why was she even? Where was she?
Did anybody else see that?
No, I did not.
It was right up under. I mean, I came late. I wasn't even there.
Yeah, you was a little late.
I wasn't on Twitter
2 days
like that.
late. Shit.
So I saw it up under the original tweet.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, and like going back to like saying like certain women just wouldn't. I think that also comes from high school too. Like there's just like a bunch of black women I definitely shot my shot at in high school, and it just was not working out for this, that, and the other reason, especially out here in Colorado. But it's like if you weren't like an athlete or a gangbanger, or like if you weren't like some type of notable something, you know what I'm saying, then you probably weren't getting love from black girls for whatever reason. And I think
out
like,
here?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's for me out here. Yeah. But like as I gotten older, it's like. I'll just like approach the situation way different, or like the conversation will change. But I mean, I think just in general, I could talk about whatever with a certain type of woman at the end of the day. Like, you can talk about food, sports, this, that, and the other, and then you can keep an interest. But like, there is definitely like black women that are like, look, if you're not talking about where you're about to be in 5 years, and then it's like all this like, it's all this like, I'm saying like Steve Harvey fucked up the culture to me, like, you know what I'm saying, like.
Fuck Steve Harvey, what he do?
I think with everybody around that type of thinking, like think like a man with like, there was times where like I feel like Jada kind of messed up the culture. I don't know, man. This is like Jada Pinkett Smith, but like,
wait, what's she?
Yeah, and I wouldn't say like that messed up the culture, but I feel like sometimes black women go with like the most trending way to approach a man or like whatever, and it's kind of like, how do you feel about the interaction? It's not so much like so. I mean, they don't want to get played, they don't want to get hurt, so then they're like they do all these things to like get the defense up or whatever. And I understand all that, but it's like sometimes it does take a while to get that wall knocked down.
For sure.
And then you're just kind of like, well, not to say like Becky's are easy or anything, but I can literally just walk over and be like, yo, you want to take a shot? And then like shots lead to dancing, and you go home and pipe. But it's like
I've done that with black girls too. So
dude, I don't know if I have.
Okay.
A question for y'all too. It's not that type. If I'm asking him, it's not that type. I'm not trying to take.
Go ahead, man.
It's do you have a problem when you see black women with white dudes?
Not at all. I'm like, go for it, girl.
I don't care.
It's a preference thing. Cause I don't know them. Like I don't really
Right.
It really doesn't have to deal with me at the end of the day. It doesn't bother me in the light. It's like, all right.
Right.
I guess.
Well, maybe I have a messed up reason why I kind of like it though, but I think
Tell us.
I think I'm just like, yo, this is what I want to see more of. I mean, personally, see, like, you don't want to push a narrative, but it's just like, this is kind of like what I'm. Are you good? This is kind of like what I'm looking at. Like, if I see like a white man with a black woman, then I'm like, yeah, everybody needs to understand black women are beautiful. So when I see a white man doing that, it's kind of like saying like it's telling other white men that maybe you should be looking outside of your own situation too. You know what I'm saying? And it could be like a messed up way of like looking at it, but it's like black women are beautiful, and this is like to me, I'm surprised I don't see it more often. I'm like, y'all aren't like hollering at the black chicks, like y'all only feel that. Like that's kind of.
I have a lot of black friends, black girls that really only date white men, which is a weird dynamic to me. But I feel it. Like, do you? But
Right.
so I know there's a lot of white men out there that would like to even experience that with black women, but are too even like afraid to even
terrified.
approach us.
Yeah.
And I think that has more to do with our culture too. Like we know what kind of situations they grew up in. We know that most white people probably have one or two or a couple of racist relatives, even if they are not so themselves. So they've still grown up knowing those stereotypes that are automatically put onto black people. And when they have ignorances towards us because most of them don't really grow up or know black people like that. So then when it comes to trying to approach a black girl or even the opposite, it's like, how do I do this without coming off like I'm just trying to be here because you are black, or do the opposite and be like, it offend you when I don't even mean to, when I'm trying to express that I'm attracted and I want to experience something new.
Right.
So I think it does fall on the responsibility of black people too, to just like be more open about that and like just say more that like even y'all just saying right now, I don't have a problem with that. Because most of the time, a lot of black girls do think that black men have a problem with it. I have a question for y'all too, though, because I see a lot on Twitter is, the pro-black people where, I don't know, they push the black love agenda, but it seems like kind of in a way that demeans those other relationships. And yeah, I just really wanted to know, like, what you guys feel about that. Like, isn't that kind of making a black supremacist statement by saying if you're pro-black, you should only be with black people, and if you're not, then you can't be pro-black?
I'll talk about this just first because I definitely have. I'm pro black love. I'm not against interracial dating. My good friend Aaron, he's married to a black woman, and so it's just like I don't put. Just like if I see like a random black couple on the street, I'm not gonna put their relationship above my good friends. It's just like I do believe in love, but I do believe like black love is just like, I don't want to say it's the best, but I do just like hold it just like it's like a preference for me.
There's still a certain power there too.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
I mean, kind of what he was saying. It's kind of like I do love black love, and I prefer that. It's kind of like somebody saying, like people saying Black Lives Matter,
Right.
but not saying that everybody else's life don't matter.
Yeah.
We just stating that that's what we want.
Yeah.
I want black love, but I'm not against interracial love at all.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody should sample all cultures. It shouldn't just be black and white. Like sample you like I don't hear about black women sampling Asian men or Mexican men or whatever. It don't just gotta be black and white. Like it's like whenever niggas is fucking up, like black and white, I'm gonna go find me a white man. Like why don't you just go find you a Mexican man?
I'm also
dating Mexican, but in case mama cook, I know his grandma.
I've also seen black women who have been fed up with black men and have thrown. All right, I don't know. I didn't hear that. I don't know. And they have thrown black men to trash. So I'm gonna just go date a white guy, or I'm gonna date a Mexican.
I'm sorry.
Maybe it's the ones that
As
you
much as
fuck
black men
Yeah.
piss
with.
me off,
Maybe it's the ones that they fuck with.
That's just one of the bunch you ain't shit.
It's
So-
damaging
Right.
to the culture as a
Yeah.
whole.
I feel
Like,
like
Niggas just don't like you.
Yeah.
like which is crazy. Like I feel like to fully answer your question, like there's those people that push these narratives, and what I like dealing with is in like facts and like just calling people out on hypocrisy. And like the biggest thing about like pushing the whole black love, all love narrative is like, you know, you'll come to find out down the line that that in their family they have more Cherokee in them than they do African descent, and now you're just like, you're literally going off of black love is black love and off the surface. Like you really don't even know what you're fully talking about. So until people are like 100% into meaning that, which is like supremacy, which is not okay. I think the romanticizing black love makes sense because like the divide, but everything you push in that narrative is almost like also pushing a divide for people in general. So it's like you want this nation to come together. You want everybody to see black people as equals. You want like the police to stop looking at us all different, all this other stuff. But it's like anything you push in a divide that's all it is. You're making a gap somewhere, right?
Right.
And you're pushing your friends away. You're pushing certain family members away, all because like of the one thing out here that you want to push, which is black love. So I guess like in conclusion, I would just say like, unless you know 100% what you're talking about, then it's whatever. So I say like, if you want to push black love and you're dating a white woman, it's because you understand how important it is for you to like, for certain people that are in your following or whatever to hear this message. But you're not like 100% about it though, right? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. That was a hard one for me to wrap up, but like,
Sure, no, I get that.
you know.
All right, so final thoughts. Start with Nate.
I don't got nothing to say.
All right.
It was a nice little podcast. I was listening to it. Okay. I learned some shit.
All right.
Just let love be love.
All right.
Final thoughts. I had to clarify something I said earlier, but it's like I don't want to misspeak my dad. Like when he said like don't marry broke, but it means everything, like broke spirits, broke pockets, broke mindset. Like I just wanted to like clear that up. But like in general, my dad's just like, you know, you don't marry like broken things unless you're really just trying to fix something. But I think that's a problem in our community is like people are constantly trying to fix other people, and it's like, you know, help people fix themselves. But like once you're married, you're committed, you put that on paper, then you're like adding that onto your spirit and your life. So I think my dad's always like, you know, marry something a little more whole, or like something that you guys can be whole together, if that makes sense.
Right, bro.
Stop caring about who don't care about you. Niggas
Like
don't care
who
about
likes
you.
you.
Right.
Yeah.
If a nigga don't care about you, if you don't like white women,
That's my
fuck it, on to the next. Go find somebody who do.
Right.
Yeah.
Alright, don't think I could end it any better. Once again, I want to thank you guys all for coming on this Saturday morning. I know you guys could be anywhere else, so I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules to come kick it with me. Thank you for Tori for manning the camera.
The lady.
Womaning, sorry guys. Sorry.
Patriarchy.
Sorry.
Next episode.
Alright.
We gonna ambush this nigga.
Make sure you're following us on Twitter at 26andG. Follow us on Instagram at 26andGlencoe. Like our Facebook page, 26 and Glencoe Media Network. Like our YouTube at 26 and Glencoe Media Network. And until next time, we're out of here.
Waste time.